YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually we just kind of talk about Marvel Rivals, the game, whether it's, we're giving some type of tips and tricks for things that I've personally learned, even though I'm not the best player, still try to offer the thing, information on the things that I have learned to help people out and stuff. A lot of times we offer dialogue on current things that are going on in the world of Marvel Rivals. Sometimes we just do rant videos. And this one's gonna be a little bit different simply because the other day I was holding a stage in my Discord and allowing people to ask questions and just kind of talk and stuff. And that's another thing too that I want to add and preface before we even get into the video. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, join the Discord. We have a lot of people in there, really, really cool, chill people, a lot of extremely knowledgeable people, players that have been top 500 before, Diamond, Plat, GM, Celestial, all that stuff. And we also even have low skilled players that are also kind of always looking for people to join up and play with. We have a pretty popular LFG in there. And even if you're not looking for people to play with or to be coached, which there's no charge for the coaching, it's just a lot of people that really enjoy helping and teaching each other. Even if you're just looking for other like-minded gamers and you just want to talk, or you're another content creator and you want to be able to meet up with other content creators and share your content and stuff like that, we have a whole section for sharing your stuff. We regularly have like community events and stuff where we do giveaways that I have to say are separate from YouTube. It's just something that we exclusively do in the Discord. So if any of those things are things that interest you, go to my channel page, look next to where my logo is at the very top, where you'll see the bio, and you'll see a spot that says more information. Just click that, and as soon as you click it, you'll see the blue links to the Discord and to the TikTok. Don't you have to worry about that, but the Discord, click on that, join it, and like I said, you'll be in there and you'll be able to talk with a lot of other like-minded people, find people to play with, just etc. Whatever it is you're into, we have a spot there for you in there. So the thing that the reason why I brought that up to begin with was because we were holding a community event, which I regularly do, where I allow people to join a stage, and I'm in there all the time, answering questions and stuff like that, talking to people. And I was allowing some of my subscribers and followers and stuff to talk to each other and talk to me as well and just ask questions, whatever the case is. And one of the people in there, I believe his name is Mike. I can't remember exactly what it was. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments if you were in there for that. But one of the gentlemen in the Discord, initially he asked a question, and there was a lot of different questions that were getting asked. So I just kind of like brushed it off, not in a bad way, just because I've heard that question a lot of times and I didn't really think about it as much before. But he asked, were content creators and streamers ruining gaming, or did we think that they were? And initially I just kind of said that it's a double-edged sword, and it's kind of hard to like say specifically because obviously, like most things in life, content creators and streamers are not a monolith, so you can't say if one does something that's what all of them are doing. They're just people at the end of the day, so they all have different perspectives, ideas, ways that they handle situations, all kinds of stuff, right? But as the evening went on after we got done with the call, I continued to still think about it. And I'm of the mindset that when I continue to think about something, that means there's a little bit more to it. It's not just as simple as maybe what I brushed it off to be initially. So it makes me think, and I feel like I have a pretty good like perspective to offer on it, simply because I'm as old as dirt. I'm old enough to where I went to school with the dinosaurs. So it's like I've seen gaming go from, let's just say my first experience with gaming was on the original Game Boy, the big block one, the gray one. My first console was a Sega Genesis. So I have been around long enough to see gaming go from this very kind of like casual thing that people did where we would just link up after school and me and my friends would play Street Fighter and Sonic the Hedgehog, etc., right? All these different like games and stuff, but nowhere near to the capacity to where gaming has come to nowadays, to where it's its own world, and that's completely normal. Like that's how things in the world work. Things usually will start out and they're very niche, and then over time they start to branch out and they evolve, and a lot more people, it becomes a lot more accessible for people because there are so many different avenues that are created for people to get into something. So when gaming first started originally, it was a very like niche thing. Like people played video games, but for the most part, it was a specific crowd of people that took them seriously. And then you had just kind of like people that would jump on for a few minutes and they would go on about their life and hang out. And it's not to say that you don't have the gaming isn't like that nowadays. Like you're always going to have a casual audience of gamers. I mean, they say that the statistics for gaming, as far as mobile gaming, that makes up probably like the biggest market for gaming. And why is that? That's because everyone has a cell phone pretty much, so everyone can access video games through their phone. So there's a lot of people that play games through their phone. I even know people that own PCs and consoles and stuff, and they still have certain games that they enjoy playing on their phone. A lot of young children get access to gaming initially through their tablets now and stuff, and then as they get older, just like my children, that's how they started. They had tablets when they were very young, and now they're getting older. They slowly wanted Nintendo Switches. Then they started getting into wanting Xboxes and PlayStations, and now they're to the point where they're just like me. They have dual monitor setup PCs and stuff, and one of my children isn't even in double digits of age yet. So that's just kind of how things have progressed, which is a lot faster than when I was a kid. And even growing up, I just got a PC within the last 3 years. Most of my life I spent playing on consoles, and when I was really young, prior to that, it was Game Boys. Well, actually, I'd say I had Game Boys and consoles around the same time. Nonetheless, the point that I'm making is that gaming has just overall kind of transformed. And not only has it transformed in the sense of how games are actually played and the level that they're played on, introducing multiplayer, which multiplayer has been a thing for a very long time. But once again, the accessibility. Originally, it was just more of a PC thing. And then we started having it on consoles. And then once it became a thing on consoles, then the internet became involved. And we started to get content creators. Now, content creators originally were not, they were not taken as seriously or at the level that they are now. Years and years ago, you had plenty of people. You think about someone like, let's take Tim the Tatman, for example. Tim the Tatman started out years and years ago, and there's plenty of other content creators, right? They were on platforms that weren't as big. And some of these platforms aren't even really a thing anymore now. But they eventually, as time has went on, and I will say, like, it was definitely a big increase during the pandemic and stuff, because a lot more people were inside, and you had a lot more people that started going from being these extremely casual gamers to that was all they really had to do was sit around and game. So people that would normally spend a lot more time outside, or they had other activities or whatever that they just couldn't do, gaming was really one of the main outlets that a lot of us had. And I think that a lot of people that didn't really partake in the content creation side of things, they started to want to Google things to realize, okay, how can I do this, or how can I be better at this, or how did this person just delete me so fast? And that led a lot of people to content creators, just like with podcasts and anything else. So with that being said, in all honesty, once a lot of people realized that you could play video games and you could make money from playing video games, and that you could gain a following from playing video games, that is when I feel like things completely changed in the landscape of gaming. Gaming went from being this thing, and don't get me wrong here. Growing up and seeing the Modern Warfare 2, or what people like to refer to as the Modern Warfare 2 type of lobbies, where people said some of the most unfathomable things to each other in these these voice chats and stuff, and in these lobbies, that was one thing. And that was an evolution of gaming, because people were able to play with each other, and they were able to compete against each other, and they were able to troll each other, etc. But it kind of just stayed in there. So now that you couple the fact that we have social media along with people that are constantly trying to build followings and become streamers and content creators, and there can only be so many people that can do this, and you have a lot of different avenues for people to be content creators. You have what I would say most people kind of perceive as, the initial step that they would take, which is, well, I'm just going to become really good at this game. And once I become really, really good at this game, people will like me and they will like my content. I don't have to be interesting. I don't have to talk about anything or really know anything outside of that. I can just start playing this game. I'm going to be the best at it. And people will come to me because they'll say, oh, well, he's the best at this particular game, or she's the best at this particular game. And I'm going to watch them to, basically the equivalent of how when we watch sports, we think LeBron's the best player, so he gets all the deals and the marketing and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's how a lot of people perceive it. Then you have some people that maybe they say, hey, I'm not even trying to be the best. I just want to be funny, or I want to be entertaining, or whatever the case is. And then you have people that might do just breakdowns of a particular video game and show you all the tips and tricks once they release, or the build up to a game or whatever. The point I'm making is that so many people are trying to make careers out of gaming. And why wouldn't they? Because if you have the option to choose to do a lot of other things in life that you may not enjoy as far as careers, and then someone tells you you can get paid to play video games, why would people not want to seek that out? That's no differently than people that want to become a professional athlete because they enjoy playing sports, and someone says, hey, you can make millions of dollars playing this sport. Well, of course, a lot of people are going to go after it. So, and once again, this is just kind of a rant. I'm leading up to the point here of the main question that was asked, right? So you just have to kind of bear with me, because a lot of times there's a lot of things that you have to cover, and you have to kind of cover how you got to a particular place to be able to answer that question initially. So while I'm saying all this, I'm saying that basically there are a lot of people that are trying to take the first route, which is I'm going to be the best at something, and basically I have to be the main character, and everybody has to like me and respect me in this game. And you also couple that with the fact that people are changing. Children are changing in regards to how they're being raised. When I grew up in the 90s, they used to have a commercial on TV that said, do you know where your children are? Because we would wake up first thing in the morning as soon as the sun came up, and we would just be outside. And we would be riding bikes, skateboarding, rollerblading, all types of stuff. And as a parent myself, because right now my office is right across the hall from my children. I do that on purpose so that I can constantly keep an eye on them and know what's going on, make sure they're safe. And right now they're right across from me, maybe 20 feet away from my office. And I think one's playing on the PC and one's on his tablet. I'm actually, after I get done with this video, I'm going to take them downtown because it's free comic book day, and they have a lot of vendors and stuff and a lot of cool things for kids to do, and parents alike and stuff. So I'm going to take them out there. But there's regularly times where I have to tell my kids, like, hey, turn the electronics off, go outside. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of parents are doing that. A lot of parents are just, they're letting iPads and Nintendo Switches and tablets and computers and stuff raise their children. And a lot of people, they just stay inside of the house 24/7. They don't really have a lot of interaction with other people. They have friends, but a lot of them are inside of a Discord and all these different things. And, that creates an issue with how people are to each other and their perspective and like their reality on things. So when you have situations like this all this animosity between people in Marvel Rivals, for example, and that's just one example. You could use so many other different games as far as how the communities act to each other and stuff. You have the DPS, which they feel like they are the main characters of the game. They feel like, well, I'm the one that's in front. I'm the star of the show. I'm doing all this stuff, all this action-packed stuff, and getting all these eliminations and stuff. And then you have the healers, and they're thinking, oh, well, you're just the healer. You're just the person that follows behind me and heals me, like the equivalent of if you got a chick walking down the red carpet and she's in the dress getting all the pictures taken of her, and then you got the person that's like holding the back of her dress or something, like I feel like that's kind of how DPS see healers in regards to their role and everything, not realizing that it is a team-based game. So just like people that have to play a sport, even though LeBron may get all the big deals and everything with Nike or Gatorade or who, I don't watch sports, so I don't know who he has deals with. You let me know in the comments. Be honest with you, it really does. It's not going to affect me in any way. I don't care about sports, but sometimes I have to use them as an analogy because that is one of the most popular things that we have kind of going on in the world. Is just sports that people collectively love and enjoy. Nonetheless, though, people will see someone like LeBron and they'll forget that the rest of the team exists, not realizing that if you just put LeBron out there versus another team, he's going to fail horribly. It doesn't matter how good he is. There's a whole entire team that will be able to work against him. And every person on that team has a specific role. You have the person like LeBron, who I guess is like the main shooter or something, in regards to shooting the ball. And then you might have somebody who, I don't know if that's what a point guard is, but I'm assuming a point guard would be like the person that like stops people from like slapping the ball out of your hand or something. I don't know. Let me know in the comments how that works. I really need to I understand how sports work. I don't care. If I play basketball, it's down to the park and I'm just shooting casually with guys. But as far as all the roles specifically, I can only imagine. But I do know that like better example would be football. You have the quarterback, you have the receiver, right? The quarterback is nothing without the receiver. The receiver is nothing without the quarterback. Both of those guys are nothing without these really giant, Goliath dudes that are like 200-300 pounds of just muscle or whatever, who are stopping this other group of 200-300 pound guys from getting to the quarterback or tackling the receiver or whatever the case is. So every role has a part, just like in Marvel Rivals. We need the tanks to tank up damage and clear paths and make space so that we can continue to push forward. We need the DPS to get a lot of elims so that we can have less people on the board so that we can continue to move forward. And you definitely need the healers because they have to heal people. People are going to constantly take damage. And I know people will say, well, there's health packs. There's like 2 health packs at any given time that are within proximity, excuse me, to where you are. And only so many people are going to be able to get those health packs because they have a period of time where they're going to refresh. So you have to have healers on both sides. And I've said in the previous video that I made that healers, yes, or supports should not just be healing. You should be getting elimination sometimes. It is possible. I do it every single day, and I don't tell you guys anything that I myself personally can't do or wouldn't do. So, everybody has roles and stuff in ways that they help each other out. There is no one who's more important than the other person. But unfortunately, with a lot of content creators, they, for whatever reason, and I'm not calling one out specifically because here we don't start beef and animosity, but I also have to talk about this because that's what the topic is about. But unfortunately, you do have a lot of content creators that they do kind of foster communities and environments that are toxic and have people that do negative things and say negative things, and they don't speak out on it. They don't say anything directly about it. And what does that do? That encourages these people. And not everyone has like a strong father figure at home like myself, like my children, to where if I ever caught them doing that stuff, that's an immediate like week off from the game. And we're going to have a very serious conversation about why you don't talk to people like that, why you don't treat people like that. Now, would I be lying if I said that I don't sit here and troll inside games sometimes? And when I say troll, I mean like funny trolling, not like I'm trying to hurt people's feelings trolling. No, we don't do that. But I'm sure you guys have seen them in previous videos. I might have somebody spawn trapped and I'm like, yo, come outside, like stuff like that. And like I said, if someone to me says something crazy in the game, yeah, I'm going to talk my talk back to them. Once again, from a different generation. I grew up in a generation where people said stuff that nowadays would get you completely just barred from society. And these were the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. But when you grow up in that and that's normal, then you don't really know anything else. And like I said, I've never been the kind of person to just start things like that. But once they're said to me, then yeah, I'm gonna give what I got back, right? But even as an adult, I've learned to chill out with stuff like that and try to just kind of, put water on the fires or the flames or whatever however you would say it. And with my children, as being a father, I want to raise them to be strong young men that don't need to express themselves using bad words or putting people down and feeling like that makes them cool, because really nobody is looking at you and thinking that you're cool for doing any of that stuff in the real world. If anything, it's going to alienate you and make people not want to deal with you, which brings me back to why a lot of these people that are sitting in dark rooms all day long, just staring into monitors, and the only type of, interaction that they have with other people is in these extremely toxic Discord servers or these extremely toxic chats or whatever the case is. And a lot of times when things like that happen to people, what they do is they learn, or they think that they're learning that this is how they should respond to other people. And it just creates this vicious cycle of negativity. Now, do you have content creators that do try to foster positive communities? Yes, I'm one of them. Here, like I've said, even in like Discord, my chat here, whatever the case is, I tell you guys all the time, we can have conversations about things. You don't have to agree with me on stuff. This is not an echo chamber. I don't want to hear people just, patting me on the back or telling me exactly what I just said and only agreeing with. Now, if you agree with me because you genuinely agree with me, that's fine. You don't have to just disagree just to disagree. But if you do genuinely agree, I have zero issue talking to you about these things. But you have to do it respectfully, because that's how I'm going to treat you. because that's what a leader does. A leader leads by example. I treat you all respectfully. I leave channels open for you all to communicate with me. I try to respond to as many people as I can. Sometimes my comment section gets just kind of overwhelming once you start passing over the 500 or 1,000 comments, etc., like a lot of videos do. But as you'll see, if you scroll through my comments, I am one of those content creators where I actually respond to people. I actually talk to people. I enjoy talking to you all and hearing what your thoughts or opinions are. And I don't just sit here and ignore the people that I disagree with. I talk to them as well, and sometimes we have to agree to disagree. But gaming as a whole, I do feel like it's a double-edged sword, because content creators can make gaming better. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that there's a game that comes out and some of the choices they made as far as the gameplay just isn't really hitting and the community doesn't really like it. Well, honestly, game developers are probably not listening to just the average Joe player, which there's nothing wrong with being the average Joe player. Nothing wrong with that at all. But the game devs are probably not listening to them that much, right? They're just kind of like, I'm going to make my game, I'm going to do whatever it is I feel like, blah, blah, blah. But if some big name content creator with hundreds of thousands of followers says something, well, all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Let's maybe work on this and change this. But sometimes there can be negatives. Sometimes a person with a big community might come out and they'll say, oh, I'm not good at this game. Oh, well, this game is trash. I don't like this game. This game sucks. Anybody that does this, they suck too. And what does their following say? Because a lot of people lack the ability to be able to think for themselves and form their own opinions about things and kind of go, hey, I don't really like that. Or I don't really like this level of negativity or whatever. These people are, especially a lot of younger people and even people that are in their, late teens and early 20s and stuff, are looking up to these people and they're using them for guidance. And I have to give an example. The comments that Necro said. I was playing a ranked match the other day and I was the only person that was a healer. And as soon as I queued for healer, because I'm usually a flex. I was waiting to see what everybody was going to pick. Everybody picked a DPS. It was like all DPS and there was one tank and nobody had picked a healer. So I was like, okay, I'll go healer. As soon as I clicked to be a healer, one of the guys in the comments goes, Necros was right. And I knew what he was talking about, because what else would they be talking about right now in regards to that? Now, I don't know if this guy was trolling, if he's being serious, like whatever. I don't know. But at the same time, though, I have heard a lot of other people in my comments tell me that they have heard people saying things that are similar to that and being clowned. And I don't have any issues with Necros, but we have to talk about the fact that once you get to a certain level, you have a certain level of influence. Even if you're a smaller creator, you more than likely have people that consistently watch your content and look up to you. They don't care that you don't have some massive following. They still have a lot of respect and admiration and stuff for you. And you have some type of power. And what you choose to do with that power, it's going to affect people and play out that way. And that's why here on this channel, I have always tried to do nothing but foster a community of positivity. We don't put people down. We don't call people names. We don't make fun of people based on their skill level, because at the end of the day, everybody is terrible to someone. I don't care how good you are. There is someone out there who will absolutely demolish you in whatever game it is that you play. And they probably don't even play the game all the time. That is just how the world works. There's always someone out there that is more skilled at a particular thing than you, no matter how skilled you are. There's probably some guy out there that could dumpster all over LeBron, but he works a full-time job every day and just doesn't even. And I know that people are like, oh, well, no, this is LeBron. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that no matter what it is, whatever you can think of, there's someone out there that could do it better. There is no, I'm the best at this in the whole entire world. You're just the best at it that we know of at this moment. But there's somebody out there who will dumpster all over you. So sitting back and making fun of people, not being able to see things from other people's perspectives, just like with the roles and stuff in the game. I'm regularly telling you all, play different roles. If you don't like Spider-Man, play as a Spider-Man for a couple of days. Learn what his weaknesses are and his strengths and learn how to counter them. And then he won't seem like this scary boogeyman that comes web slinging out of the shadows and stuff. You'll understand oh, he only gets 3 of those every few seconds or whatever. And once he's used them all, he has to just climb a wall or run around like everyone else. He only gets 5 web trackers at a time, and it takes a little minute for him to replenish. He only gets 1 uppercut every couple of seconds, so he's going to have to wait for that if he misses the first one or if that one doesn't eliminate me, etc. And it's the same thing with DPS. If you're a DPS player and you think being a support player is so easy, go get 40K healing with 20 eliminations in a match. while people are blaming everything on you and telling you that you're the worst person ever, and echoing a lot of this stuff that a lot of other, and not just Necros, but a lot of other content creators have said. And that's the thing, is that even other content creators will do the same thing. Bigger content creators will say something and people will see the numbers that they get from it and the clicks they get from it and views, and more medium level content creators and lower level content creators will try to echo those same exact things to try to get people to watch their content as well. And like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because there are some extremely kind content creators out here that are extremely nice and really try to create positive communities and stuff, which is a good thing, because just like with my Discord, people can come in there and it's people from all different ages, all different walks of life. You got people that are in there that are older than myself, people in between ages, younger people in there and stuff like that. And they all get together and work together and have a good time and laugh, share their memes, their content and stuff. And it's all because they have something that they all can relate to and agree on. And that's what it should be. But at the same time, for light, there's always dark. You're always going to have people that they're just kind of like, hey, you know what? I just want to be miserable all the time. I want to talk about things that just are like the worst aspects of stuff and only harp on that. And to me, I feel like there should be a balance to things, because sometimes if you look at some of my content, after I've had a long day of ranked and I've gotten some of the worst teammates humanly imaginable for 7-8 games in a row, yes, I go on crash out rants. And then you know what I do? Once I click end on the video and I've moved on, the next day, I'll try to come back and I'll say, hey, well, look, when you're in this situation, this is how you handle it. Try to maybe do this. We're human beings at the end of the day. We all have different emotions. We all have different things that we go through. Some days we're happy, some days we're sad, some days we're in between, whatever the case is. But it's the overall point and message that you're putting out to people, especially when you have people that are listening to you, and you never know how susceptible that person is or what they're going to go out into the world and do and share. And you can't control people. Some people are just going to be negative people no matter what. Some people are just looking for those negative outlets. But a lot of people are just kind of like clay. They're just out there and they're waiting to be molded. Just like with my children, they sit back and they play different video games, and it's really cool. They're at this age where they're starting to discover a lot of older games, like stuff I played when I was younger, but they're also in their own world of gaming, where now they have things that I didn't have when I was younger, like Roblox, for example, where they can just link up with friends from their school and they can explore a dungeon or a cave or whatever, or just go to like this thing that's like a giant party where they can just show their outfits off or whatever. There's so many different things that they can do, and I regularly keep track of what they're doing. I join up in their Roblox lobby sometimes and say, hey, what's going on? What are we doing in here? What's the point of this? Who's this person you're hanging out with, or whatever the case is. So, but like I said, a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people, their parents just kind of give them stuff and they say, here you go, and they let the internet raise them. And I'm trying to be the positive part of the internet that people can look at versus being part of the problem. So, that's just kind of, we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, but that's just kind of my thoughts and opinions on the whole question. And I just kind of wanted to get that out, because I do think that it's really interesting how content creation has been going with games and stuff, and how it intertwines and relates to it. And a lot of the just toxicity that we're seeing in games nowadays, I do think that a lot of it comes from some of these creators, and it's not all of it. A lot of it is outside forces, like politics are becoming a big thing with gaming now, which that didn't used to be a thing. That was something that was completely separate. It was very rare growing up that I heard anyone relating politics to gaming, and those two things kind of trying to intertwine. But it is something that's happening, and you can't just put it on content creators. It's just happening in general. But like I said, with this game, it is very interesting to me, because this game started out, it was fun, it was cool, and now a lot of people are just becoming extremely toxic, to the point to where I haven't had voice chat on for the longest time, because I'm not about to sit here and listen to people getting into screaming matches and stuff over stuff that doesn't even have anything to do with the game, or people telling the supports that they're worthless and all this other stuff, and then supports saying how, yeah, heal yourself, you don't want to do this. And it's just, what is the point of any of it, right? At the end of the day, gaming is supposed to be an escape from reality. It's supposed to be fun. We're all trapped here in the real world. where it's nothing like the worlds that we get to go into when we're gaming. None of us are Spider-Man. None of us are Batman, Wolverine. None of us are sitting here able to just race, not legally anyway, race like $1,000,000 cars down like a city street or whatever. And you shouldn't be doing that to begin with. But I'm just saying, video games offer outlets for all of these things, and that's what it is. It's supposed to be you coming home after a long day of school, work, maybe both of them, your kids, your wife, your parents, whatever it is in your life that you're just kind of like, oh. And then you come home, you turn your console on, your PC, your handheld, whatever you got, and you escape into this world. And now the gaming world is becoming the thing you want to escape from, and that's not what we want. Like, it's not what we want at all. It's not what you want. Definitely not what I want. And, I think that, I know it sounds cheesy, but change starts with us. We all can actively make the decision to not encourage that stuff, to kind of shame it when we see it in others. We see other people putting other people down and talking down on people and being negative and stuff, to just put those things down and to be like, yeah, that's not cool, man. Like, what are you doing? No, nobody likes that. Nobody respects that. And when enough people start to do that, it will have an effect, a positive effect on the community. But we have to be aware of it, and we have to actually talk about it instead of just saying, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna wipe my hands of it and go on and do something else." So I'm gonna wrap this video up. We're already at the 30-minute mark. I already know this could have been a 10-minute video. Well, it wasn't. It was a 30-minute video because I felt like talking about it for 30 minutes. And if you don't like that, I suggest you stay on the shorts channel because, whatever, TikTok brain or whatever it is, right? And this is coming from someone that posts shorts regularly. But some things they're not going to be wrapped up in 10 minutes. Sometimes I want to talk about things and I have to really delve into them and really, cover a lot of points. And I feel like I could have still been talking about this for another 30 minutes if I really want to talk about a lot of different other things. But I'm not, because it's Saturday and I want to take my kids out to comic book day and to do whatever else it is they have down there. And I need to go to Walmart and get a new plant because my dog laid on my other one and now the leaves are all bent and I don't like that. So yeah, anyway, I appreciate you all for listening. This is Dark and I'm out. I'll catch you on the next one.